good luck. Anyway, here we are, semifinal number 2, because it had to be rescheduled. Semifinal number 2 of Exoticus Dirt Cup, live with Helzinka, nehyzo, Dyzrod, and Sapi. 4 really good players who made it through from the quarterfinalists yesterday, and now they will finally get to play against each other. I believe none of these players were in the same match, and that's how it was set up, so none of these players have experience going against each other on these maps. So we will see who is going to come out victorious. 2 players will go through to the grand finals, which are happening in 2 hours from now, and then they will have an opportunity to win themselves some money. So looking at the poll in chat right now, it looks like 2 of you think nehyzo wins, 2 of you think Dyzrod wins, and nobody has given Sapi or Helzinka any of their love. Anyway, here we go, live into the first round. Let's follow Sapi here. Sapi, who was a little bit shaky yesterday in his entry, says that his performance wasn't as good as he would have wanted. But that's fine. It looks like Helzinka has already made a mistake, and Sapi as well, making a touch going into that entry. So now let's take a look. nehyzo here, going for a little bit more safe a line, but Dyzrod really taking a lot of speed and going through. It is his map. It's made by him and Hunter, another dirt player, so you could argue maybe he has a bit of an advantage, but these players were given a week to train all these maps, so you know, that advantage really just simmers away as more and more time is given to train. But anyway, Dyzrod is showing a really convincing performance here. Let's take a look back down in the field. nehyzo, not really anyone challenging him, but Helzinka versus Sapi, these 2 players are really close to each other, so let's see who is going to take just that little extra point for coming in 3rd versus 4th. Helzinka going a little bit wide, and Sapi makes it. So the order, Dyzrod with the first, the 1 minute .11, nehyzo in second with 101.22, and so on. So there's the order right out the gate. Dyzrod taking an early lead. So maybe these players are going to be a little bit more shaky going into this match, because maybe in their last matches some of them were thinking, all right, I can do this, this is quite easy. But in this match, I mean, you have, you know, a bunch of other players who are really good dirt players, and it will tend to work on your nerves a little bit, maybe cause a little bit more mistakes than you would want. Anyway, Dyzrod, once again, getting a really good lead through this section, opening up with 0.5 ahead of 2nd and 3rd place. Let's take a look at nehyzo here in a battle with Sapi. nehyzo going for more of an inside line. Dyzrod touching a little bit on the outside, but not actually touching. nehyzo hitting, so he is out of it. Helzinka is also quite far out of it, so let's follow Sapi here. See if he can do anything to catch up to Dyzrod, but I think Dyzrod had much better of a section toward the middle, so I don't think he can make this up unless Dyzrod makes a mistake, and I don't think he will. Dyzrod taking another 1st place. Sapi barely making it in. Dyzrod with a 1 minute .02. Very nice. And it looks like in our poll, 2 votes for Dyzrod and 2 votes for nehyzo, so I guess those are the 2 that are expected to go through, and we'll see. Will that be the case? So now, Dyzrod, 20 points, Sapi 10, nehyzo 9, Helzinka 7. So Dyzrod getting a nice early lead. Great for the mental game, for sure. All these players going through. About even right now, but Dyzrod once again just getting a little bit more speed than everyone, taking those extra risks as necessary. Dyzrod, for those of you who don't know, about 6 months ago or so, there was another Dirt Cup that was hosted, and Dyzrod was the winner of it, and it had to do with the imported dirt items from Trackmania or TM2. So he showed himself to be the dirt champion there, but Dyzrod making mistakes, so taking a little bit too much of a risk. I don't know why he would do that. It was completely unnecessary. He had that win in the bag, but now Sapi and nehyzo get to see if they can get some 10-pointers here. Sapi going into the lead, nehyzo following just behind, but going a little bit slower, probably losing the gear. Sapi gonna try to risk and go into the risky finish. Nice, he gets a 1 minute point 66. You know, our last rounds we saw that Dyzrod was doing 1 minute flat lows, and then Sapi wins with a 1 minute point 66. So these players might be thinking, do they have the pace to keep up with Dyzrod if he doesn't make a mistake? And that is also something that can affect your performance. You'll tend to start risking a little bit more and make more mistakes. So will they decide, are they going to risk more to try to keep up with Dyzrod's pace, or will they try to go a little bit slower and just relax and hope he makes his mistakes? Sapi right now doing well to keep up with Dyzrod. Dyzrod taking a little wider, going very wide there, keeping the gear, taking the jump very low because he can afford it with that speed. And Dyzrod, as always, coming out of the section with just about half a second faster than second place. Now 0.4. These players making it through. Very fine. Nehyzo a bit farther down, along with Helzinka. Let's take a look at Sapi again. Is he going to make anything happen with Dyzrod? Dyzrod going very wide here, but both players keeping their gear. So it looks like Dyzrod is going to take probably another first place here. Yes, he will, with a 59.93. Very nice time for in a match. Sub 1 minute is a very, very nice time. So that is impressive for Dyzrod. He's probably getting very confident against all the players in this match, at least. So watch Helzinka. Helzinka making a mistake in the beginning. Helzinka was, I believe, the second seed to come through in match number 4 yesterday. Barely beating out, I think, his fellow teammate, nehyzo. So we'll see if he can make something out of his qualification here. Maybe this map he'll just throw away and think about the other maps and focus on those if they're better for him. Once again, Dyzrod a little bit farther ahead, but not quite that 0.5 of a lead that we saw before. nehyzo only 0.18 behind, so this is time that you can make up with a bit much, or a little bit of a risk or a bit of a mistake. But nehyzo going a little bit too much on the inside, losing a little bit more time. So Dyzrod, once again, he's up in the lead, 34 points, a healthy lead against second so far. And once again, driving another 1 minute point 11, as he did in the first round. Very nice time. nehyzo with a 1 minute point 66. We haven't seen any times that have been that fast or close to Dyzrod's in-match PB. So these players are probably a little bit worried about, can they keep pace with this first place player? However, the second place player also makes it in. So they have to worry about each other. So if Dyzrod is getting all the first place points, then they have to worry about who's going to get 6, 4, and 3 points. And that's not enough to really differentiate yourself, because you see Dyzrod pulling away, but Sapi and nehyzo only have a 6-point difference. Helzinka is only 7 points behind nehyzo, so not too much of a difference down here. And that's what happens usually if there's a very dominant player in a match, is everyone who's fighting for that second place spot, while the first place player is still driving, it causes them to not really be able to spread out that much, because even if someone keeps getting 6-pointers, there's always someone behind you getting, you know, 4 and 3 points, and that's not much to differentiate yourself with. Anyway, going down. This is Venom by Firestorm. A little bit more of a difficult map. A lot of gears that you need to worry about keeping. Whereas the last map was a little bit more about line optimization. This one is a little bit more punitive, because you have to keep your gears, and there are some quite difficult turn sections. Anyway, going in to the next map, we have Venom by Firestorm. Dyzrod leading the pack by a lot. Let's take a look and follow Sapi on this map. Sapi going for an inside approach along with Helzinka. Helzinka actually might be a little bit more interesting to follow. Let's see if he's going to be doing what everyone else was doing. No, he goes for a more outside approach, because in the last match, when he qualified, he was going for much more inside lines. And we see that he does do a little bit more of safe inside lines than every other player, but in the last match, he was doing intentionally inside lines, as it would seem. So maybe he's understanding the map a little bit more. But we'll have to see that with time. Dyzrod getting a great start here. Sapi and nehyzo, 0.3 behind. And once again, we're seeing it's just a battle for second place. And then if Dyzrod makes any mistakes, like he did last time, then maybe these players can get a 10-pointer here and there, but Dyzrod's pace is just super fast here. Dyzrod coming in first with a 59.13. That is a very nice time. So now we're seeing nehyzo catch up to Sapi just a little bit. Helzinka is falling behind, and Sapi is 20 points behind Dyzrod, and Helzinka is 10 points behind nehyzo. So maybe these players are starting to feel their position in the pack a little bit, and that's not great for your mental game if you're the player who's trying to catch up, because you're starting to, you know, maybe fall apart a little bit mentally and start doubting your lines, doubting your play style. So really it's time to just focus up and hope the other player makes their mistakes and drive your game. But anyway, Dyzrod once again getting a fantastic start here. nehyzo and Sapi nowhere in sight. Dyzrod going for very fast lines, very risky, and it's good to see such a trained player showing that it wasn't just his map, the one that he made, that was his advantage. It's the entire map pack to his advantage. So very good for him. Well versed in all of these maps. It's going to give him a very convincing lead here for a while. Up to 64 points with Sapi in 40 points and nehyzo with 34. So Sapi and nehyzo is a fight that really has no determined winner here yet. nehyzo is showing a very dominant performance in his match, and Sapi not so much, but like I said earlier, Sapi has been a little bit trained more on these, probably because he knew if he has a chance to go through and win or come in second in the semifinals, then there's some money behind that. So nehyzo will get a little bit more trained. nehyzo and Dyzrod going for that outside line that they're going to be able to keep their gear. Dyzrod here looks like he got his gear potentially and kept it. Sapi going for more of an inside line. That'll give him a chance to catch up to nehyzo and Dyzrod, but when you do that outside line, you also lose it. And Dyzrod making a touch on the inside, so there is our second mistake in the match from Dyzrod. Maybe gonna get a last place here. I don't think these players are gonna be making too ridiculous of mistakes. Maybe nehyzo and Sapi, they're going to be taking a fight here. nehyzo going for the inside line. Sapi with a little bit more speed, but keeping your speed here doesn't pay off if you get a bump like that. So nehyzo making an attack and coming in, but Sapi keeps it, and Sapi gets those 10 points. Dyzrod only getting 3 points in this round. So that doesn't look too good for Dyzrod, but he has a convincing enough a lead for that to be fine for him. So he needs to not worry, relax, and just let it go and move on. Just one bad round for him, that won't hurt him too much. However, Helzinka probably getting a little bit worried now, seeing with his 27 points and Dyzrod at 67, and even Sapi at 50, you know, you start to think, how much am I gonna have to push to make this back up? And it's probably quite a bit, especially if you don't have the lines trained in the same way as the other players, and you're probably trying to pick up some lines or try some new stuff. We see him going outside, doing some lines that we didn't see in the last match. So Helzinka showing that maybe he's getting a little bit of pressure that's affecting his performance. Let's go up to Sapi. Very far behind Dyzrod. Dyzrod in first, probably going to stay there. Dyzrod getting a nice turn there, going for a little bit of an SD, and coming in with a 58.89. Very nice time from Dyzrod. A sub 59 in match. Very good. Dyzrod showing that he is deserving of a spot in the grand finals, and he wants it bad. See Dyzrod coming down, doing a little bit more of an approach that's holding some more speed for him. Gets the gear better, goes very wide, holds this gear, goes down the hill, and let's listen for it. Holds that gear as well, goes for the drift to get the early entry, and I mean, this is just a lot of speed you're going to carry through that section. Sapi doing it just as well, however, being a little bit farther behind, maybe not keeping that gear because he drops about 0.15. Dyzrod going outside, Dyzrod touching, Dyzrod's going to have no acceleration for 1.5 seconds, so Sapi is going to be able to catch up. Dyzrod falling down, but can he make something happen in the end? He's only 0.13 behind. He's going for that outside line. He's going to try to keep just a little bit more speed, but that only works if you don't make a mistake in the final turn, which he does. So nehyzo catching up, and he's going to pass by 0.02 of a second. nehyzo sniping Sapi for that extra 4 points. So that's going to be great for nehyzo. He's going to catch up just a little bit more to Sapi. Only 8-point difference between those two. So Sapi now probably feeling like he doesn't have as much of a lead as he would have wanted. So the second place is not decided. Dyzrod in first with 81 points. Sapi in second with 62. Only a 19-point gap after that map. nehyzo with 54 points. nehyzo only 8 points down. Helzinka is about 20 points down, 21 points down from nehyzo, probably feeling the pressure, probably a little bit worried about his position. But he can still make things happen if he just focuses up, drives some slightly better lines, and I don't know what his lines were in practice, but we can hope that, or from at least the last match, we know that he was able to drive at a decent pace. So we will see if he is able to clutch this out. So going into the third map, we have revamped by me. Probably the hardest map out of the pack. Very much about trying to keep your gear in this section. If you can keep yourself in the 4th gear all the way up until this jump, then that is the best way to do this section. So now these players are warmed up and ready, and maybe we will see some upsets or some different paces here. But we will see going into the first round of revamped. Let's follow Sapi. Sapi in second place. Going wide. Sapi touching actually, so that's not great for him. Let's see how nehyzo is doing. nehyzo in third, so it wouldn't be too bad for Sapi, but nehyzo comes in second or first. That's going to give him a lot of opportunity to close the gap with Sapi. Dyzrod keeping his gear, nehyzo not keeping his gear. And we see just how much keeping your gear in that entire section will save you. I mean, Dyzrod really showing dominance on this map as well. Dyzrod showing that he wants to get out of here and into the grand final as soon as possible. So we will see, can Dyzrod go into the final in just this map alone? Because he needs 5 more map wins, and there are 5 rounds per map, so he could, in just this one rotation, not going back to the first map, get into the grand finals. So we will see. Dyzrod going in to the finish with a 103.96, which is a very good time, but is shocking because he had such a terrible last uphill. He safed it so much that he lost the gear while he was still making the climb, so that's not good for your speed, and he still got a 103.96. So very, very nice times from Dyzrod in the rest of the map. His pace must have been insane. And as we see here, he goes into the start. Helzinka trailing him. This is good for Helzinka if he can make this work. Going for a little bit more of an inside line. He's going to lose that gear. Everyone else looks like they keep it. Let's see, does Sapi keep it? Sapi keeps the gear. nehyzo looking like he probably didn't keep, well, he may have. So he comes in, goes around the corner, down this hill, very bumpy section here. You want to try to minimize your airtime as much as you can on those turns. Don't want to bump too much, but you also want to go as inside as possible. nehyzo barely making the recovery. Oh my god. nehyzo somehow not making a mistake there. It lost him just about 0.2 of a second maybe. Dyzrod touching on the uphill, so Dyzrod doesn't have an opportunity now to go into finalist mode, I don't believe. Oh, and Sapi getting the first place with a 104.36. Not bad. Dyzrod only getting 4 points in this round. So now, Sapi. Second place, 76 points to Dyzrod's 95. Only 19 points down. This can be made up, but only if Dyzrod makes more mistakes. But Dyzrod getting the best start here. We have Helzinka, 30 points down. Helzinka now probably thinking, what's going to happen to me? nehyzo making a mistake, so maybe he can get a second place here. nehyzo quite far down. Trailing Sapi now. So let's take a look at Helzinka, see how he's doing his lines. Goes quite wide here, wider than Dyzrod. He's about 1 second down now almost from Dyzrod. So all these other players giving Dyzrod a free 10-pointer here from their mistakes. Ooh, getting airtime, and he's gonna lose that second place to Sapi. Let's take a look, where's nehyzo? nehyzo is probably not gonna overtake Helzinka, so he'll at least get that third place, but that has to be a little frustrating when you lose that. And oh my god, he almost catches up with that mistake. But Dyzrod, 103.96, not a bad time from Dyzrod. Dyzrod pulling out times that some of these other players have never even driven, so maybe that's got to be daunting for them. When you see someone drive your PB or faster in match, that can be dangerous to your mindset. Make you drive a little bit worse, a little bit riskier in ways that you shouldn't be risking because you've never practiced it. nehyzo touching on the uphill, and that's what we see. nehyzo trying to get those high points, but making those mistakes. So Dyzrod going in first place once again, as expected from him at this point. Sapi now making a little bit of a slower turn through there, but it's all good. 0.66. Let's take a look at Helzinka, who's trailing him by 0.33. Gets the uphill just a little bit worse. It's a very difficult uphill transition there. Oh, but he gets terrible airtime there, and nehyzo is now going to overtake. So now Dyzrod gets a 103.73. Nice time from Dyzrod. Very nice time. So going in, Dyzrod, 115 points. Going into it, I believe, is round 5, so he won't be able to get into the grand finals just yet. He'll have to go back and play his own map to do that. But it's looking very good for him. He's currently trailing these other two players, but his line here is superior. Keeping the gear, quickly going into that nose slide in the banking. He gets the jump nice. He takes a wide line, gets the gear, the change of gear very late. Very nice. Getting the turn super nice here, and let's take a look at Sapi, who's trailing him, but not nearly close enough to make a difference unless Dyzrod makes a mistake, because at Dyzrod's pace, I mean, there's almost no way you can catch up to him. You have to be driving near perfection to pass Dyzrod at this point. That being said, Dyzrod makes a mistake, so Dyzrod is not going to get first. Dyzrod actually, oh, this isn't good for him. He's not even going to be able to go into finalist mode because everyone passes him. But Helzinka makes a mistake, so he gets 4 points and gets the dreaded 119 points. Oh, that's not great for Dyzrod, but he does have a lot of room to spare. 119 for Dyzrod. All he needs to do now is finish the map in the next round, okay? So then he makes that, and then he can do one more victory, and he will be through. Let's take a look at nehyzo. nehyzo, probably one of the other favorites here for second place. I mean, this is somewhat how I saw it in my mind going into this match. But also, a lot of you thought nehyzo would have a good chance at making it through, and I believe he still does. He's only 19 points behind Sapi, so he can seriously make that up just with a couple of denials of first place. He just has to keep his composure, and on this map, hope that he's a little bit faster than Sapi is. nehyzo going for a warm-up here. Let's take a look. Where is Sapi? Sapi coming into the end. Dyzrod nowhere in sight in this warm-up. Dyzrod is probably... Excuse me. Dyzrod is probably feeling very relaxed right now. Thank you, Flurno, for the follow. And Krim. So now, going in to the next round, possibly the last two rounds for Dyzrod. Certainly he can make it into finalist mode after this round, unless he doesn't even finish, but we will see that. Let's follow Sapi in this first round. Sapi going, making the first turn perfectly fine. Dyzrod with a little bit of a slower start as usual. He always goes a little bit more outside, but then keeps the skier and is managing to keep up with pace with Sapi. So Sapi really probably wanting to get this 10-pointer, differentiating him from nehyzo, getting out of that 19-point little area. Because if he's within 20 points of him, then he has at least 2 finalist opportunities, wherein nehyzo isn't in finalist mode. So that would be great for Sapi. However, Dyzrod getting this section so much better, getting it much nicer. nehyzo quite far behind. Helzinka is completely out of it. So let's take a look at Sapi again. 0.3, 0.29 behind. Dyzrod getting a bit of a stumble. He's not going to keep the gear, but I think that's fine for him. He's still getting it just fine. Oh, but Sapi gets a little bit more speed. He can catch up. Sapi going for more of an attacking line. And Sapi coming in second still. Dyzrod with a 1 minute .41. Definitely not the time that Dyzrod was looking for sure. Good luck to these players. Dyzrod coming from, you know, in 2018, I feel like he was not nearly the powerhouse that he's considered to be today. And in this game especially, he is among the top dirt players, but he makes a mistake in the uphill, so this is not going to be his round to win. It's going to be a continuation of the battle between nehyzo and Sapi. nehyzo, 21 points behind Sapi. He can make a huge difference here if he comes in first and Sapi comes in second. That would be amazing for him to get it to where he can have one more finalist opportunity taken away from him that he doesn't have to deny from Sapi to get into the grand finals. So let's take a look from nehyzo's perspective. nehyzo trailing behind Sapi by 0.13. nehyzo going through, getting a very nice exit speed out of that, but they're in the same gear. They're both going at about the same pace here. nehyzo 0.09 behind. He can actually make this up, getting a little bit less time through there. nehyzo going much wider. This is going to rely completely on Sapi if Sapi makes a mistake, so let's follow Sapi here. Sapi going for a very fast line, much as he did last round, and it's Sapi getting a 1 minute .1. Not a bad time for Sapi. And we see Dyzrod typing the nice time, but we saw Dyzrod do 3 or 4 times that were about that fast or faster. So it really shows you, if that is a nice time, then Dyzrod was driving monster times earlier. Sapi only needs to get second place in this round, and he can go into finalists and actually could get the first seed. Not like it matters, but you know, that is also a mental game you want to play against your opponents, because he's going to be playing against Dyzrod once again with 2 other players from the other match, and nehyzo making a mistake in the uphill. So let's take a look at Sapi. Sapi also too far behind. Dyzrod probably going to take this one nice and easy. Let's watch from his perspective. Dyzrod with a 0.9 lead from Sapi with only about 25 seconds to go on the map. That is very much time you can just safe and relax. No need to risk. if he has his interface on and knows that Sapi isn't trailing him, then he should be fine. Sapi over a second behind now, losing even more time to Dyzrod. This is looking great for him, and Dyzrod, if he makes this turn, is going to be your first grand finalist with a 1 minute .003. Very nice time, and GG to Dyzrod. Sapi getting that second place, which nehyzo did not want for sure. Sapi, all he has to do is win this next round, and we're already done with the final here, the semi-final. So nehyzo probably feeling a lot of pressure at 93. He's going to have, I think, one putting up to 103, then 113, then 120, but Sapi making a mistake, so there we go. This should be, if nehyzo can relax, this should be his first round win. Sapi certainly realizing he's too far behind to make anything happen. So nehyzo is most definitely going to get first here, and he'll go up to 103. But then after that, he needs 3 consecutive round wins to get a guaranteed second place and a spot in the grand final. Can he do it? nehyzo just rounding these corners here. If he's smart, he's going to go into the safe finish because he has so much time to spare, but he doesn't. He goes for the risky finish with a 101.22. Not the fastest time, but hey, he didn't need to risk it. So there you go. That is your first round for nehyzo. He can move up to 103 points, needing to win 3 more rounds or have Helzinka deny with him. But if nehyzo doesn't come first, he'll go up to 109 with a second place. Or, you know, then that'll add just another finalist attempt for Sapi, because he won't pass that 10-point threshold, leading him to get to the finalist mode sooner. So Sapi here with a very inside line. nehyzo with more speed. nehyzo actually keeping it in the uphill. Let's follow Sapi here. Sapi getting a much more inside line, a much more attacking line. nehyzo keeping pace with him. These two players are neck and neck. There's no telling who's going to win this round. nehyzo going for more of an inside line. He gets way more exit speed out of it, almost touching on the outside. Sapi having a release. Sapi is now behind nehyzo. nehyzo can safely kind of, you know, try to safe this and make it through, but Sapi is only 0.4 behind, so nehyzo cannot afford to take the safe finish. He's going to have to take the risky finish. Sapi getting a fast end as usual. Sapi making a mistake, and nehyzo getting another denial. 10 points for nehyzo. So now moving up to 113. nehyzo is making the comeback happen. Can he go all the way and deny Sapi finalist for another time and then go into the grand final? We will see on the next map, going back into Venom by Firestorm. So now we're moving back up into the more difficult map, a map where I don't remember who was faster, Sapi or nehyzo. I believe they were both quite evenly matched here as well. nehyzo taking a relaxer at the start for a second. Probably a lot of pressure on him right now, knowing that these 2 rounds or 1 round is going to be the difference between a chance at winning it all and getting nothing from it. Sapi certainly also realizing that he has to make something happen here. Went outside pull, yeah. I mean, some players do the outside pull thing. I don't know why. I don't know if it's faster. I don't think it is, but teach their own. So now, going into this warm-up, gonna give these players a good luck. Have fun. Well, maybe just a good luck. They don't need to have fun. We can have fun and relax and enjoy their stress right now. Interesting. Good luck to these players. Let's take a look at, from nehyzo's perspective. nehyzo definitely feeling pressure on him. He's going to have to make something happen here. Helzinka, don't know if his pace is enough to rival both Sapi and nehyzo, so we'll see. nehyzo going for more of an outside line. He keeps more speed, but he goes for more inside in that uphill, a little bit less risky. Sapi is going to have a little bit more speed. nehyzo getting a bit more speed. They have the same line. nehyzo going a little bit more outside so he can have an attack on the inside. He's going to keep just a little bit more speed, but this is looking good for Sapi. nehyzo almost touching on the outside. Sapi only 0.1 ahead. nehyzo, I remember, having a very attacking line here, though, but Sapi is keeping up pace with him. Let's take a look from Sapi's perspective. Sapi going way outside. Let's take a look. nehyzo getting passed by Helzinka. This might be it for Sapi. Let's take a look from his perspective. He's definitely thinking, gotta safe it now. Got to safe it into the finish. Sapi going through and taking it. Sapi is going to be your second grand finalist. GG. So a sad ending for nehyzo. He tried putting it off, trying to delay the win for Sapi as long as he could, but it just couldn't happen any longer. So now we're moving in to the next semifinal. Does anyone remember the points?